The WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade. Oh my god, we are now at episode 148. I'm feeling kind of great. I am your host, Ray Russell, bringing you another week of 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation this week. Going to kick off the weekend of September 17th in just a moment. But just a reminder, guys, to stop on over to patreon.com/WrestleCopia. We've been adding all sorts of new Patreon exclusive podcasts and videocasts, including the Coliseum videocast I've been doing with Gene Jackson, the Pro Wrestling Academy videocast I've been doing with Dan Ginnity, and so much more. A great time to check it out right now, heading into the holiday season. And for those curious, I know a lot of people have been leaving Twitter, leaving X, moving over to another app called Blue Sky. You can also find the Grenade now, the WrestleCopia Network, over on Blue Sky at Wrestling Grenade. Now, for the time being, we're going to be at both apps, both X and Blue Sky. I'm simply broadening my horizons for those leaving the Twitter machine, if you will. So anybody on X, don't worry, we're not going anywhere right now. Anybody moving over to Blue Sky, you can find us there also. Though, unfortunately, Blue Sky does not allow the lengthy video clips that I post, 2 minutes and 20 seconds, like Twitter does. So on Blue Sky, they only allow 60-second video clips. So unfortunately, most of my videos will not be making it over to the Blue Sky app. Everything else should be on both apps at this point in time. And of course, as always, follow me on Facebook as well. And just some of the things to look forward to here this week on the Grenade include, well, don't forget the Fabulous Rougeau Brothers last week on the show, promising the world they're going to present us with a special surprise that will most specifically intrigue the Hart Foundation. Also, we're going to see the final match of one George the Animal Steele here in the 1980s. We're also going to see the Superstars debut of the Blue Blazer. We saw him in action last week on Wrestling Challenge. Bad News Brown has a special message for the WWF champion, Randy Macho Man Savage. Big Boss Man going to be the guest on the Brother Love show this week. And we're going to see who the Boss Man is singling out for potential matches in the weeks and months to come. Plus, there's a different look on the Primetime Wrestling set this week, but it's not the actual studio. Stay tuned, you'll see what I mean. But right now, guys, time to get the ball rolling. Go back in time to the WWF Superstars of Wrestling, September 17th, 1988. All right, here we are, Superstars, September 17th, tape back August 23rd, Providence, Rhode Island, at the Civic Center. It is Jesse Ventura and Vince McMahon on the call, and Jesse rocking no cover on his head today, so we get to see the big bald spot on the top of the body, and thus Vince McMahon cannot resist making a bald joke or two at the body's expense. Yeah, I'd rather be bald than wear that toupee, McMahon. So says the body, and we get rolling right out of the gate, these two having fun with each other, and to the ring for the Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior, taking on Larry Stevens. As we get an insert promo here from the former champion, Honky Tonk Man, who says the news is out. The Warrior has something that belongs to Honk, and he's coming back to get it. Honky promising that he has something for UW as he strums his guitar. I feel like he's trying to insinuate something there. Not quite sure what it is, but we got the Warrior Man in the ring and a fun opening sequence as Stevens going to charge at the Warrior, but UW actually doing a leapfrog. Larry Stevens going under his legs and diving straight through the ropes out to the floor in a fun spot to get things going. Warrior going to follow him outside, laying some nasty chops before carrying the lifeless body of Stevens back up the steps, tossing him back into the ring for the flying shoulder tackle, a nasty, stiff-looking clothesline, gorilla press drop, and the big splash, getting Warrior the win, 2 minutes and 8 seconds. And as the Warrior Man reigns supreme, we go off now to Craig DeGeorge up on the special interview platform. Craig's guests this week, as promised, the Fabulous Rougeaus are here to present us with their special surprise.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you my guests. They are the Fabulous Rougeau Brothers. All right, gentlemen, the rumors are flying. Of course, you promised us a surprise. We'll get to that in just one moment. Let's get to the rumor, though, Jacques Rougeau. Word is you're going to be putting up a for sale sign on the lawn of your home in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and actually moving here to the United States. Is that true or false?
Isn't that great? Well, let's go ahead and clear this once and for all. Let's face the facts. Ever since we said we were going to move to the beautiful place of United States of America, our garages have been full of mail piling up, and ever since we told you about the 1-800-FABULOUS toll-free number, our phones have been ringing. And you know what they've been saying?
Oh, what?
They've been saying, please, Fabulous Rougeau Brothers, move next to my house and be my neighbor.
Let's give you the surprise. You promised us a big surprise. Just what is this big surprise, Raymond?
Well, you know, since we've been in such great demand all over the world, the contracts have been piling up so much, we don't seem to have the time to get to them. So obviously, we needed managerial assistance. And you know, we've been telling you, beautiful people, how much we really love you. Well, we're going to prove it to you. We have chosen one of yours to manage us.
Hey, they're foreigners.
Whom have you chosen? We have chosen the most fabulous manager in the world today. Let us introduce him to you, Jimmy Hart.
Oh, no.
That's right. Come on out, Jimmy.
Oh,
Come on
no.
out.
Now, that's about as American as you can get, I think, man.
Get to the bottom of this.
That's a surprise, all right, to the Hart Foundation, I'll tell you that. But it's not a good one.
Manager tag team. Well, first of all, I am so excited about being chosen manager of the Fabulous Rougeau Brothers, baby. But you see, technically and legally, I still am the manager and still have a contract of the Hart Foundation. I still own a piece of their contract. But I am going public. That's right, I am going public with this announcement. Because of Jacques and Ramon, the Fabulous Rougeau Brothers, I am going to give you personally 50-50 shares of the Hart Foundation's contract.
Wow. That means the Rougeaus will make money off the Harts.
That means every night you will get paid double. Double. Let me tell you something, Hart
This has never
Foundation,
been done
just like
before.
SummerSlam '88. I am going to tell the Fabulous Rougeau Brothers everything I know about you. I am going to squeal like a canary. I'm going to tell them all of your strong points. And you don't have very many strong points. And I am going to tell them all of your weaknesses. And believe you me, they have a lot of weaknesses. And I promise you this, Hart Foundation, you will never, ever become World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions again. Long live the Rougeau Brothers!
All right, the big news, the Rougeau Brothers
My
have in
goodness.
fact hired the mouth of the town.
USA! USA!
What?
USA!
I can't believe. We'll be back. We'll be back.
Wow. Well, there you have it. The Rougeaus once again reaffirming that they will soon be making their residence right here in the USA. People have been calling that toll-free number, 1-800-FABULOUS. Their phones have been ringing off the hook with fans wanting to know, hey, what city are you guys moving to? Just wanting to make sure that hopefully the Rougeaus are moving next door to them. Tremendous stuff here. As Brother Ray admits that the Rougeau brothers so busy that they need managerial assistance moving forward and have chosen their new American manager to help them with their business. One of our own selecting an American manager. Enter Jimmy Hart. Oh, baby. Jimmy Hart out here hugging what appears to be his new tag team, the Fabulous Rougeaus. Hart mentioning that he now technically manages 2 tag teams. Of course, still legally making money off of the contract of the Hart Foundation. And Jimmy so excited to be with the Rougeaus now that he offers them his shares of the Hart Foundation's contract. 50-50, baby. Meaning that the Rougeaus will be making money off themselves and the Harts. So in excitement for these fabulous announcements, the Rougeaus waved their mini American flags high in the air, an attempt to start a USA chant to conclude the segment. What a fabulous segment. Jimmy Hart, the perfect choice, as he has his issues with the Hart Foundation, and he needed a team to fill his end of that feud. And here it is. It looks like we're going to get a Hart Foundation Rougeau Brothers feud, but more importantly, the Fabulous Rougeaus have found themselves an American manager. Sorry, Frenchie. As we roll on, we're going to see the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, step in the ring to take on John Latu. And after toying with Latu before the lockup, Teddy going to turn his back, allowing John a drop kick from behind, sending DiBiase through the ropes out to the floor. And a hot $1 Million Man leaps up onto the apron, but Latu comes running over, flying head scissors over the top rope, grabbing DiBiase's head, bringing him back inside. And another drop kick sees the $1 Million Man bail out to the floor once again. Crowd eating it up, Latu all over the $1 Million Man. As DiBiase back up on the apron, Latu going to try for another flying head scissors to bring DiBiase back inside. But this time, as John jumps up onto Teddy's head, DiBiase just dumps him over top and down to the floor in an awesome bump. Nasty bump. What a spill. Latu going up for head scissors on the apron. DiBiase having none of it, and poor John just takes the bump all the way to the outside. And as you can imagine from there, the $1 Million Man going to take control. As we get an insert promo, DiBiase mentioning that he is finalizing some negotiations to acquire a new possession, is what he calls it. Something that every man would love to have, but only few can obtain. DiBiase teasing a new possession in the weeks to come. Very interesting. Stay tuned there. In the ring, it is the $1 Million Man with the Power Slam and the $1 Million Dream going to get the win. 2 minutes and 27 seconds. So we are coming out of the end of DiBiase's 6-month run with the Macho Man and the Mega Powers match at SummerSlam. Now, I had speculated last week what they could possibly do with DiBiase next to keep him relevant, to keep him near the top of the card. And now he's teasing acquiring a new purchase, a new acquisition, if you will, a new possession. What could that be? We won't have to wait too long to find out. Stay tuned, guys. But right now, we're off to the event center with Sean Mooney standing by. Interviews from Bobby the Brain Heenan and the 8th wonder of the world, Andre the Giant. We're also going to hear from the reigning undisputed WWF champion himself, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, alongside the lovely Elizabeth.
And I can't help but wonder just what the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, is up to this time. Whatever it is, you can bet that money is involved. Well, there are a couple of men who are very close to the $1 Million Man standing by. They are Andre the Giant and his manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
I'm going to show you humanoids something right here. Standing right behind me here is 7'5". Over 525 pounds of the greatest athlete in any sport today. He is undefeated in professional wrestling since the day he started his career. He became the World Wrestling Federation champion on February 5th and was stripped within 10 minutes of owning that title. Never defeated by anybody. You can hear noise all around here right now. People got cameras set up. There's press people here. There's media people. They want an interview with him. This is the greatest phenomenon in sports today. His name is Andre the Giant. I know it, you know it. And Macho Man Savage, Hulk Hogan, and the rest of you ham and eggers, you know it, you know it.
Bobby the Brain Heenan refreshing our memories, although I don't believe anyone needs to be reminded just how awesome an individual Andre the Giant really is. He wants the World Wrestling Federation Championship. He will have to face the champion, the Macho Man Randy Savage, to get it.
Gotta be ready. Elizabeth, I gotta be sharp. I gotta be ready for anybody. Yeah. Challengers are coming tougher and tougher and tougher. Yeah. From the streets of New York is Bad News Brown. And I got some bad news for you when you meet the champion. Yeah. And you, King Haku. Yeah. You're the king. But I'm gonna show you that I don't listen to no kings and queens. Yeah. What did I say, Elizabeth? Doesn't really matter, does it? Yeah, because I'm talking to all the challengers. I'm talking to you, $1 Million Man. I'm going to make you bankrupt yet. Yeah, and Andre the Giant, 7'5" and 550 pounds. The bigger they are, I don't even need to say anymore. I'm ready for anybody. Yeah, I am. Oh, yeah.
With Elizabeth by his side, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, will face any challenger, be it Bad News Brown, King Haku, Andre the Giant, or anyone else in the World Wrestling Federation. He plans to remain champion of the WWF.
Well, the heel's still insisting that Andre was never defeated for that WWF title, so he should be still the champion. And they're going to prove it when the Giant beats the Macho Man. And speaking of Randy Savage, he's talking the current top challengers in the World Wrestling Federation, which do include Andre, but also another Heenan family member in King Haku, as well as Bad News Brown. These are all names Savage is going to be making the rounds with on the house shows throughout the fall. There is no one single feud at this point for the Macho Man, at least not yet. So it's a little bit of everything for the WWF champion as we go back to the ring for the world's strongest man, Dino Bravo, with Frenchie Martin by his side. His opponent this week, Mario Mancini. And pre-match, a little French from Frenchie. We also get an insert promo from Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who wants the fans to join with him in showing Dino American pride, as Hacksaw wants Bravo ousted from the USA for his disdain for this good country. Tough guy. And wouldn't you know it, perfect timing for that insert promo, because the crowd letting off a loud USA chant in the arena here is Mancini going to attack Bravo, but immediately eats a sit-out clothesline from the world's strongest man. From there, a series of elbow drops from Dino, followed by a pile driver and that patented side suplex, just going to get the win, 1 minute and 38 seconds. So the border war feud between Duggan and Dino just getting started. As we continue on, up next, George the Animal Steele with Mine out to the ring to take on Chance McQuaid, as we get an insert promo from George selling the new WWF magazine, featuring what else but a piece on the Animal and Mine. And then to the ring, McQuaid going to try to sneak attack George in the corner, but misses. The Animal avoids as he velcros Mine to the top rope, and Steele dumping Chance outside, then yanking him back in by his hair. Ouch. A couple of turnbuckle shots to the head and arm of McQuaid, then some biting from Mine getting involved here. No disqualification apparently. And then comes the flying hammerlock O'Doom. Going to get the Animal the win, 1 minute and 39 seconds as Hebner raising the arm of Mine? Well, he did get involved in the matchup. Your winner, George the Animal Steele here, thus ending this run for the Animal due to personal health issues. George going to stay with the company, working as a road agent off and on, but we won't see him back in a WWF ring, at least on TV, for another 9 years. So this concludes the run of one George Steele from 84 to 88 here in the WWF rings. Came back as a heel, managed by Mr. Fuji, turned babyface on Saturday night's main event, aligned himself with Captain Lou up front. George became a beloved figure here on TV, specifically by the kids. Had that long feud with the Macho Man Randy Savage. We covered a lot of that in the 1987 project here on the Grenade. Eventually adopting the Mine character as his friend, and unfortunately, it's time to say goodbye to one George the Animal Steele. But hello, Sean Mooney. We head back to the event center with interviews from the Rock Down Morocco and the Big Boss Man, along with manager Slick.
And we are back at the WWF Event Center. George the Animal Steele. He has a very unorthodox style of wrestling, but he gets the job done. And there are a lot of wrestlers here in the World Wrestling Federation who are getting the job done. Coco Beware, Jake the Snake Roberts, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and many others, including this man, Don the Rock Morocco.
It never gets any easier. Now, if you want to work, if you want to be the top, you got to work hard all the time. You got to work rock hard because, you know, you got to drive and you got to go for it every minute of the day. I've been on the dark side, and I know what it takes. It takes work there, too. And I know on the light side with the prayers and the milk and the vitamins, all that it takes, too. The WWF and The Rock have been together for a long, long time. And now Greg Valentine. Now Greg Valentine chooses to be in The Rock's path. Well, The Rock can get beat on a lot, can get chipped away at. But in the end result, you know what? You may find that underneath all the clay and the dust that you have found yourself a right hard diamond. Yeah.
And you know just how hard a diamond is. I do believe Greg the Hammer Valentine will have a tough time crushing The Rock, Don Morocco. The big boss man. He has laid down his own law here in the World Wrestling Federation, but this man certainly does not live by it.
I want everybody in the WWF to know that I'm in town, that I am the man, the boss man, period. That's the way it is. My rules, my regulations are going to be followed by everybody. Hogan, Savage, Dog, it don't matter who it is. You're looking at the man, the boss. Tell him, Slick.
It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. Beware. Now, you have been warned, and let me tell you, you just as well to right now get ready to start following orders because it's going to be like this. Get up, sit down, crawl, run, move. The boss man's in town. There's a brand new sheriff. Here he is.
The big boss man with his own set of rules and regulations, although I would not be surprised at all to find out it is the Doctor of Style Slick who has instigated that man's foul behavior. Well, like him or not, he is a true superstar here in the World Wrestling Federation.
Well, Morocco states that you can chip away at The Rock, but much like a piece of coal, The Rock is a diamond. I guess you could say a diamond in the rough. As he has more comments for Greg the Hammer Valentine, that feud continuing on here in the house show circuit. We also hear there from the big boss man and the Doctor of Style. They say all the stars of the WWF will obey the law of the former prison guard because moving forward, it's all about the big boss man's rules and his regulations. I don't doubt that. I certainly wouldn't question it. As we go back to the ring for the Olympic strongman, Ken Patera, taking on Bob Emery. So somehow, Kenny going to remain here on the A show matches. Emery tries to compete early on, but doesn't get very far with it. Patera shows off his natural strength, scooping Emery up in the air like a feather and then just simply laying him across the top turnbuckle. Clean break by Ken Patera. From there, it's Kenny with the very basics as he continues to forget that you're not a heel, Ken Patera. Lots of nasty shots here by the Olympian. Speaking of the Olympics, Jesse Ventura wondering if Patera was involved in the prison Olympics. Ha! Is that how he stayed in shape throughout his time in the prison system? Ponders the body. And at one point, Vince McMahon scoffing at the fact that Jesse says McMahon's food of choice is pizza.
Yeah, I bet you eat a lot of pizza, McMahon. Ugh, pizza, that's not good for you, pal. Give me a burnt steak with ketchup, or a turkey sandwich, light on the mustard, pal.
Anywho, we see the Olympian here, Patera, big slam and a series of elbow drops on Emery. From there, it's a solid clothesline before he whips Emery's shoulder first into the corner post. Bob now selling his arm as Patera locking in what I called a nasty full Nelson. Put a lot of aggression behind this one, driving Emery down into the mat with it before getting the submission win. 2 minutes and 34 seconds. An extra salty Ken Patera this week, it would seem. Kenny going to get back a few wins here on TV after doing the high-profile clean job for Bad News Brown at SummerSlam.
Keep him strong, pal.
As we go off now to Update and Mean Gene Okerlund talking about the recent incident between Jake the Snake Roberts and the pantsless, ravishing Rick Rude.
In addition to that action, Jake the Snake Roberts had words for ravishing Rick Rude.
You've got to admit, Rude, I warned you. What did you expect for me to do, man? Back up on what I'm doing and what I'm saying? No, sir, I told you I was going to take them. And I took them. Oh, yeah, didn't you look cute, huh? And Rude, if you think it's stopped, man, get another pair and put them on, because it doesn't matter where we're at. I'll take them off again.
Then it was the turn of the originator of the Rude Awakening, Rick Rude, to have his say.
Oh, yeah, you warned me, all right, Snake. But I made one mistake, see? I thought you'd be man enough to come at me face first. but you lived up to your name. You were a snake. You jumped me from behind. Well, listen to this, Snake. If you didn't like those tights, you wait till you see my new ones, and I'll wear them. And I dare you, take them from me.
Two premier superstars, Rick Rude and Jake Roberts, are on a collision course. Where else but here in the World Wrestling Federation? For Update, I'm Gene Oakham.
Well, we got clips from last week. Jake ripping the tights off of one Ravishing Rick, the tights featuring the likeness of one Cheryl, Jake's wife, leaving the Ravishing one naked in the ring. Or so we were led to believe. Anyway, we hear from Jake Roberts first. He said he warned Rude, and Rude found out. And if Rick does it again, Jake gonna rip the pants right off again. Trust him, Rick. Trust him. Meanwhile, we hear from the Ravishing one as well. He says Jake lived up to his snake moniker, slithering in and attacking Rick from behind. Pressing the issue further, Rude tells Jake to wait and see what's on his new tights. And then from there, Rude daring the snake to try and take those off. And up next on the program, the Blue Blazer taking on Barry Horowitz. And I asked last week, why didn't they do the Blazer and Barry Horowitz on Wrestling Challenge? And I guess that's because they were saving it for Superstars. The Superstars debut of the Blazer here with some flashy counters, jumping backflip off the top rope, leading to a nice arm drag takedown early on as Ventura begins to reminisce. The body says the Blazer wrestles just like Jesse used to. Horowitz finally catching the Blazer with a reverse thrust kick to take over control here as Barry shouts, now it's time to go to school. Alrighty. Barry going to drop a knee, get a 2 count there as Owen going to take Brother Brett's famous chest bump into the corner. But it is the Masked Man making the comeback, however, with a reverse crossbody off the top rope, followed by a vertical suplex. Then up top, missile drop kick by the Blazer as Owen lands on his back straight into a kip up. And the crowd not really reacting to any of this. I wrote, what the fuck are they watching? Owen with a missile drop kick, doing the old Owen Hart spot, the drop kick into the kip up, and not really much of a response here from the crowd who don't really know how to take the Blue Blazer as of yet. Remember, this is actually taped the day before the Wrestling Challenge match, even though the Challenge match aired first. So outside of a few televised house shows in local areas, nobody has seen the Blue Blazer up until now. They're still trying to get an idea of what to make of him. It's up next. The Blazer going to unleash an awesome Owen-style belly-to-belly. And then the Masked Man goes straight back to the top rope for a moonsault splash. Gonna connect. Get the Blue Blazer the win, 2 minutes and 49 seconds. And that finally woke the crowd up here. What was that? A moonsault here in the World Wrestling Federation. Jesse Ventura says now he'll never have to come out of retirement because the Blue Blazer, this guy, he does all my moves for me. Love it, buddy. So a fun win in the condensed version of what these guys have been doing, Blazer and Barry Horowitz on the house shows for the past couple months. Blue Blazer victorious once again as we go off now, go back in time to Superstars from August 27th, where we see the Outlaw Ron Bass and his attack once again on Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And then it's off to comments from Brother Brudai.
You know something, Ron Bass? You made one big mistake. You didn't finish the job. You had me down, baby, and you had me out. But you walked away. You didn't finish the job. That's going to prove to be your fatal and your one biggest mistake in your life because you stirred up a big nest of hornets. And you know what? They're going to get you, and they're going to get you good.
Who says that the Outlaw made one serious mistake when he didn't finish the job. And now it's going to be his fatal mistake as the Barber comes for revenge. Fatal mistake? Is Brudai promising to murder Ron Bass? I don't know. But make no mistake about it, the Barber hot on the trails of the Outlaw. Keep an eye out for that one, guys, as we go back to the ring for tag team action featuring the WWF Tag Team Champions, Axe and Smash Demolition, with Mr. Fuji in their corner. Their opponents this week, David Isley and Dave Paradise. As we get an insert promo here from the British Bulldogs, who want themselves a title shot versus the Demos. They claim the champs have been hiding from the Brits. I guess the last 90 days worth of title shots haven't counted, have they, Davey Boy and Dynamite? Anywho, on commentary here in the matchup, Vince McMahon pondering why this man's name is Dave Paradise. Jesse insists, well, that's his real name. Aha, just as your real name is the Body. Ventura stating that, yeah, I was born and named the Body. He was named by the nurse who birthed him. She looked at him and said, what a body. Well, that's a bit disturbing, Jesse, but Vince McMahon wants to know what part of the body. The rear end? Maybe something else. Yikes. We're not even going to touch that one as we go back to the ring for action. The Demos dividing the beating evenly this week between both job guys. Isley gets the beat down first. Then in comes Paradise, who winds up anywhere but Paradise as it is demolish and destroy. The demolition decapitation putting Paradise away in 3 minutes and 43 seconds. As we close out that matchup, we go back one more time on Superstars to the Event Center. Sean Mooney, we're going to hear from the likes of the Mighty Hercules and the Hart Foundation.
Welcome back to the World Wrestling Federation Event Center. Another impressive win by the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions, Axe and Smash of Demolition. And as you know, tag team competition has never been hotter in the WWF. Well, the Mighty Hercules believes singles competition is just as hot. He's standing by right now with comments.
You know, as I sit at the top of Mount Olympus, at the right hand of Zeus, and I look out over all the land, and I am the master of all I survey. Yes, it's true. All the wrestlers in the WWF are some of the greatest athletes in the world today. But at the top, the Mighty Hercules, the strongest man in wrestling today. Look at me. I've been working out every single day, training, thinking about nothing but wrestling, thinking about nothing about people like the Warrior, Hulk Hogan, anybody that wants to get in the ring with me. It's an open invitation. If you want me, come and get me.
Well, we will have to see just who accepts this open invitation by the Mighty Hercules. That is going to be some party. The Hart Foundation, no longer with their manager Jimmy Mouth of the South Hart, but you can bet Jimmy Hart's memory just lingers on.
You know what really irks me? You know what really makes me sick?
That's it, man.
Jimmy Hart has signed on the Fabulous Rougeaus, but worse than that, he's taken 25% of my hard-earned money. You're nothing but a bloodsucker, Jimmy Hart. You're a bloodsucker, and I've had enough. I've had enough.
Easy, cool down, baby, cool down. That's 25% harder. We're gonna punch him. That's 25% harder. We're gonna slam him. That's 25% harder. We're gonna get the big elbows. That's 25% harder. We're gonna come out with them. That's 25% harder. We're gonna punch him. That's 25%. We're gonna punch him. That's 25%. And we're gonna both over.
Well, we hear from the Mighty One there, but no Bobby Heenan again, which is telling. Though Hercules proclaiming to be the strongest man in the WWF, calling out names like Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, says anyone that gets in his way, Hercules will put down. And if you guys notice, between his match at SummerSlam and the promos since that time, we haven't seen Bobby Heenan with Hercules in a month or longer. Like I said, stay tuned. Also, we heard from the Hart Foundation there commenting on the Rougeaus joining one Jimmy Hart. The Hitman upset at the fact that Jimmy Hart now gifting the Rougeaus 25% of the Hart Foundation's contract. Neidhart, though, the voice of reason here, says, that's okay, Brett. We'll just have to hit him 25% harder. But then the Anvil working himself up. He begins to go crazy, and now it's Bret Hart trying to calm him down. The two men trying to calm each other down at this point. Really fun promo here by the Harts as they respond to the Rougeaus gaining Jimmy Hart and their manager and thus gaining part of their contract. Unbelievable. Very different storyline for professional wrestling there and very creative. As we conclude Superstars, we learn that next week on the program, we're going to see the likes of Jake the Snake Roberts, Tito Santana, the Fabulous Rougeaus will be out here, no doubt, with the manager, Jimmy Hart, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, King Haku, the Powers of Pain, and the Bolsheviks. Plus, here it is, the reason to tune in. Next week here on Superstars, the Doctor of Style Slick going to debut the new look of the one-man gang. Only 1 week away, guys. As that concludes Superstars, we head off to Wrestling Challenge in just a moment. But first, this quick WrestleCopia timeout.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com, and to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories, whether it's Jamie Ward with Georgia 81, Roman Gomez with the UWF in 1986, or Gene Jackson covering Memphis in 85. 3 projects going on right now over there at Regional Wrestling. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. Bob goes back in time each and every week, covering not just his career, but countless stories and interactions with hundreds of wrestling names spanning his 2 decades in the business. But that's not all. You can also check out the Pro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Pro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met, from Apple to Spotify, Pocket Cast, and beyond. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And of course, now would be a fantastic time to become a WrestleCopia patron over at Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, Patreon.com/WrestleCopia, where you get so many gifts, including all of my insanely detailed show notes for every episode of The Grenade Show, Regional Wrestling, and the Monday Warfare podcast. You'll also get early access to a lot of the podcasts here on the WrestleCopia brand, where you can listen days and sometimes as much as a week earlier than the rest of the listeners. But that's still not all, guys. You also get at least a dozen digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure each and every month, plus random bonus video drops, and of course, the Patreon exclusive Watch Along series covering many past WWF and WCW events. And if that's not all, videocasts, also now a part of Patreon. No subscription, cancel anytime. Give it a try for a month, guys. I think you'll like the content that I offer, and every penny of it goes right back here into paying the bills. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia. Help me pay some of the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and all of the great shows here up and running for the months and the years to come.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Grenade program. As we continue on, we're off to Wrestling Challenge now for September 18th, 1988. Here we are, Wrestling Challenge, September 18th, tape back August 24th, Hartford, Connecticut, at the Civic Center. Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon here on commentary as we go to the ring to see the Powers of Pain with their new manager, the Baron. Their opponents this week, Rusty Riddle and Gene Ligon. And though we saw him first at SummerSlam, this show actually taped prior to the pay-per-view, so the Baron finally popping up on syndicated TV. We even get an insert promo here as the Baron says he has been selected to manage the Powers of Pain, which raises the question, who selected him? Boy, the WWF just taking everyone from Paul Jones. They took Ravishing Rick Rude, then the Powers of Pain, and now the Baron, though he was gone, turned babyface long before this. And boy, we could certainly use a Russian tag team upgrade here in the WWF. I wonder if the Assassins are on their way. And as we know, we'll have to wait a while, but Pez, or should I say Shaska Watley, another year or so off from making his WWF debut. As the action gets going here, Riddle and Ligon make the mistake of trying to double team the Barbarian early on. And quickly, the Crockett prelim stars find out. Barb with the double clothesline and then presses Ligon on top of Rusty Riddle. Then from there, Gene Ligon gets the beat down first, big Barbarian boot, and then Riddle in to finish up the matchup. As last week, we heard Jesse claim the Powers of Pain, they didn't know any wrestling holds. But this week, on Challenge, Bobby Heenan contradicting that comment, stating that you can tell these guys know how to wrestle, but they opt not to. They just want to manhandle their opponents. To which the Brain approves, as he calls them 3 sick puppies. And he kind of said it in a doting way there, as the Warlord lands the running power slam, followed by the Barbarian's diving headbutt. Going to take Riddle down, the Powers of Pain going over 2 minutes and 12 seconds, as the Baron celebrates with his brand new tag team. And we go off now to Special Report with Lord Alfred Hayes talking with the undefeated Bad News Brown.
With victories like this, the unbeaten Bad News Brown continues his unblemished record. Let this powerhouse from Harlem tell you how it is.
What do I have to do to get a title shot? What do I have to do, huh? Do I have to petition the Queen? Or go down and see O'Reilly? What do I have to do? I done beat everybody there is to beat in the WWF, and I'm still waiting for a title shot. Aren't you ashamed of yourself, Macho Man, that you have to hide behind Elizabeth to keep from meeting me in the ring? Aren't you ashamed, or do you have any shame? Well, let me tell you something. There will be a day, and the day will not be pleasant, because the longer I wait, the worse it's going to be on you. The longer I wait, the harder it's going to be on your body, and the longer I wait, I will definitely destroy you.
And so you hear it there. They mentioned Bad News' continued undefeated streak, most recently beating Ken Patera at SummerSlam. We see a clip there of the matchup. Then we hear from the bad man himself, who says, what does he have to do for a title shot around here? A WWF title shot, I should point out. He says he has beaten everyone they put in his way, claiming that the Macho Man is hiding behind his woman. Brown getting tired of waiting for his shot and warning Savage the longer he waits, the more he will have to hurt him. Bad News Brown making it clear he hasn't even been here a year, and he's already gunning for that WWF Championship worn by the Macho Man. I got news for you, Bad News. Randy Savage ain't too hard to find. As we go back to the ring for Outlaw Ron Bass taking on Joe Milano. And before the matchup, we see the Outlaw removing his spurs, the Maverick brothers, Bo and Bart, though still Bret and Bart here on commentary, at least according to Bobby Heenan, who apparently didn't get the memo of the name change. That's my name. Can't be Bret. Got to be Bo and Bart, the Maverick brothers, the spurs of one Outlaw, as we get an insert promo once again from the Barber, warning Bass that he's coming for him. Meanwhile, in the ring, Ron Bass trying for a slam. Milano, though, going to slide over the back of Bass and land a drop kick on the Outlaw. Joe then tries to counter a hammerlock with a flying mare, but he gets clotheslined right out of his boots for his troubles. From there, it's a nasty-ass forearm clothesline strike from Ron Bass, followed by that Texas gourd buster, pedigree, if you will. Going to give Ron Bass the win, 2 minutes and 18 seconds, and then some post-match hanging time fun with Miss Betsy number 2. Ron Bass, not exactly running from the Barber. Can't wait to see what happens when those two finally get it on. As the action just keeps rolling here on Challenge, back to the ring, Tito Santana taking on Len Kruger. As Bobby Heenan using some of his one-liners here to reference Tito's Hispanic heritage. Santana with some basics before a backdrop sets Len up for the flying forearm. Going to take Kruger down. Tito getting the quick win, 1 minute and 59 seconds. And I love that they're keeping the Tito squashes short here in an attempt to revive his singles push, keep him lively in the ring. But unfortunately, Tito's best days are behind him, push-wise anyways. He looks like $1 million now. A class act and a solid performer, no doubt about it. But Santana also visibly much larger and more muscular now here in 1988, as he realizes he's going to have to up his game, so to speak, or at least his looks, for job stability. But Tito Santana back on the singles run, it would seem, as we go back now to Sean Mooney in the Event Center. Going to hear from the likes of the Birdman, Koko B. Ware. Probably going to have Frankie with him, I'd have to imagine. Also, it's the Bolsheviks and manager Slick.
And hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney here at the World Wrestling Federation Event Center, the place where you keep up to date on all the happenings in the WWF. Right now, let's talk superstars. You know a man who does some high flying in the ring. It is time now to hear from the Birdman, Koko B. Ware, who's standing by with Frankie.
Well, hey, you see things are getting better each and every day in the World Wrestling Federation. For you, Frankie. Yeah, and for me too. You see, I feel good. You see, everywhere I go, brother, the people love us, Frankie. Oh, yeah. You see, in the World Wrestling Federation, I had my dolls out. I had my T-shirts out. Now, what time is it? It's the Birdman watches out, brother. That's what time it is, brother. That's right, Frankie. We don't have to be late no more, going down the road no more. We don't have to be late no more, eating breakfast, Frankie. We can tell time now, brother, because we got the Birdman watch right here, Frankie. Take a good look at the Birdman.
Things are getting better every day for the Birdman, Koko B. Ware. The Russian Bolsheviks, Nikolai Volkov and Boris Zukov, they would like nothing better than a shot at the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship. But they have been tripped up by the powers of pain. The Bolsheviks are standing by.
There's a lot of good teams out there that we want to get into the ring, that we want to show that the Bolsheviks are the greatest. Like you, Demolition, we want you in the ring the most to get the tag team belts. But especially to you, Powers of Pain, what you have done to us, we want to destroy you, Powers of Pain, because you're nothing but a stumbling block. You're keeping us away from the title. And you have this Baron in the corner, whoever he is. I think you're scared, that's why you put this Baron there. But we want to get you, Powers of Pain, any way we can. Eto pravda, tovarищ.
To pravda, tovarищ. Ja pozdravljam sav sovjetski narod, jak živje here in the United States. Ja govorim now that all the teams, ja ih tam ih zabijemo. Power of Pain, ja ih zabijemo do čarnu zemlju. Demolition, you're number one, you're going down.
The Bolsheviks, Nikolai Volkov and Boris Zukov, with strong messages for both the Powers of Pain and Axe and Smash of Demolition, the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions. But words may have their meaning, but they will have to prove it all in the ring against those tag teams.
So, kind of a generic promo there from the Birdman against shilling his brand new wristwatch. What time is it? Well, he and Frankie no longer have to be late to the shows. As he states, we can tell time now, Frankie. Congratulations, Koko. Also, we hear from the Bolsheviks, the Russians. They want a shot at Demolition, but in order to get there, they realize they have to go through the Powers of Pain. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, but a heel Demolition versus the Bolsheviks? Now that I wouldn't mind seeing. Beat him down, Axe and Smash, as we go back to the ring to see the former IC champion Honky Tonk Man, with manager Colonel Jimmy Hart taking on Martin Leroy. We get an insert promo here from the upset Jimmy Hart and Honky Tonk, trash-talking the Warrior for stealing Honky's IC title. He says, you haven't seen the last of the Honky Tonk Man. Bobby Heenan even chiming in to state that they jobbed the Honky Tonk Man at SummerSlam. I wrote LOL, gets me every time Bobby Heenan using that word jobbed. He used it all the way up through 93 before his departure here. They jobbed Yokozuna. Gets me every time. Didn't notice it as a kid, but Bobby would use it 2-3 times a year. Just in that special moment. As the bell sounds, and it takes more than a minute for Honky Tonk to remove his jumpsuit and get going here. The new aggressive Honky Tonk Man, I should add, leading to the shake, rattle, and roll neckbreaker. Honky Tonk Man going over here at 2 minutes and 31 seconds. Post-match, the former IC champ thanking his beautiful audience for recognizing the true greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. Honky Tonk coming back for that IC title, now worn by the Ultimate Warrior. As we go back now to the Event Center, Sean Mooney going to speak with the likes of the British Bulldogs and Dangerous Danny Davis.
We are back at the World Wrestling Federation Event Center. Earlier on, we talked about tag team competition here in the World Wrestling Federation. Well, at the top of the list, the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid. They know what it takes to become champions. They have been there before, and they are looking for a title shot at the tag team belts. Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid are standing by.
You know, you got a lot of tag team combinations in the World Wrestling Federation. You got the Hart Foundation, the Rougeaus, the Strike Force, the Killer Bees. I can go on and on. Demolition. Though the only team what held those belts longer than any team in the World Wrestling Federation was the British Bulldogs. We held them for a year and a half. Isn't that right, Dynamite?
That's right. We had those belts for a year and a half and was very proud of it. David said, we work out together, we train together, we wrestle together. Demolition, you've got the championship belts right now, and that's what we want. If we got to be the Hart Foundation, the Killer Bees, you name it, we'll do it. We'll win that ring, use them for stepping stones, and come right to the top and get a championship match with you. Demolition, one of these days, you got to face the British Bulldogs, and Mr. Fuji, you know what's going to happen. You're going down.
Yes, indeed. Sooner or later, the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith, and the Dynamite Kid will run into axe and smash of Demolition. They want to be champions again. In singles competition, it is just as hot. Dangerous Danny Davis believes he is a top contender as well.
I have come out here and I have told you, along with my manager Jimmy Hart, who is absent at the moment, just how good Dangerous Danny Davis would be as a wrestler. Everybody had their doubts. Everybody sneered and said, oh, he's a referee. What can he do as a wrestler? Well, ask my opponents of the past. And I'm not going to name them because I don't want to embarrass them any further. But I have taken on nothing but top competition since I became a wrestler, and I have proven to everybody just what Jimmy Hart's been telling you and Dangerous Danny Davis has been telling you. Dangerous Danny Davis is one of the best undefeated wrestlers that WWF has ever seen, and it's going to stay that way.
Well, one must admit that Jimmy Mouth of the South Heart has done a great deal for Dangerous Danny Davis, although I do believe the man is a bit confused over his win-loss record.
Well, the Bulldogs, making no bones about it, no pun intended, they want a title shot versus Demolition, being former champions themselves, having held the belts they claim for a year and a half. Won it at WrestleMania 2, definitely didn't have it at WrestleMania 3. That doesn't really add up. Maybe that was in dog years. I don't know. Danny Davis says everyone wants a title shot, but Davis says he's truly one of the best, remains undefeated here in the World Wrestling Federation, and he's the one that deserves a championship matchup. Would love to see Danny get in the ring with the Macho Man, no doubt about it, or even the Warrior. But Danny Davis claiming to be undefeated, a fact that even Sean Mooney scoffs at there. On the event center as we go back to the ring for Hacksaw Jim Duggan taking on Tony Ulysses, as we get an insert promo here from Dino Bravo showing the new WWF magazine, which just happens to have a 4-page spread on Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Dino upset at that fact, ripping the magazine into pieces, because that's what he thinks of the USA, and that's what he thinks of old Hacksaw. Meanwhile, back to the ring, Duggan carrying his foam thumb at the end of his 2x4. Tough guy, got to sell that merch. Not much by the way of wrestling here, as you might suspect, but Duggan does bust out a suplex, and midway through, picking Ulysses up in the air, Duggan releasing with his right arm to give a big thumbs up, which leads to a not-so-safe landing for poor Mr. Ulysses, which is probably why we don't really see Hacksaw do that again. In fact, Bobby Heenan referring to that as the stupid plex. Sounded cool in theory, but the delivery not so safe. As we go to the 3-point stance in a pretty rough-looking clothesline, Duggan basically plowing Tony over. Some poor positioning there by somebody involved. Not really sure who, but Duggan going to get the win. Nevertheless, 2 minutes and 19 seconds. As up next, we are off to the Brother Love Show with special guests this week, the Big Boss Man and manager Doctor of Style Slick. Slickster says that the Boss Man is here to clean up the World Wrestling Federation. Meanwhile, the Boss Man raising his nightstick in the air as he defines love. Love is reaching out and touching someone. Maybe with that nightstick, eh, Boss Man? Then, for the first time, at least on TV, the Big Boss Man calling out Hulk Hogan and WWF Champion Randy Savage by name. I wrote, oh boy, I cannot wait. The Big Boss Man making his calls, moving to the top of the ladder, the main event scene here in the World Wrestling Federation. As the show rolls on, we get a clip from last week's Superstars. We see the entire squash shown again of Rick Rude before leading to him removing one pair of tights to reveal the Cheryl Roberts tights underneath. And of course, from there, the stripping of said tights by the Snake, Jake Roberts. And as we come back to Live Wrestling Challenge, Bobby Heenan swearing that this feud is not over. Remember Rick Rude promising a new pair of tights. Very curious. Can't wait. As we continue on back to the ring for more action, tag team action, going to see the British Bulldogs with manager Matilda in their corner, taking on George South and Trent Knight. We even get an insert promo here from Matilda this week. What does she think about Demolition? Her response? What else? Barking. Matilda barking at the camera, because that's how you get a team of this caliber over, guys. Talk to a dog. And as the matchup gets going, great counters here by Davey Boy Smith, landing that delayed vertical suplex, followed by his patented running power slam. Dynamite going to sneak in a snap suplex somewhere in there before it's a top rope superplex. Dynamite going all the way to the top rope, delivering a superplex onto Trent Knight. Going to get the Bulldogs the win, 3 minutes and 8 seconds. And on commentary, Gorilla and Bobby both putting over the fact that Dynamite looks, well, almost 100% after his back injury from 2 years ago. So even they referencing an injury that took place, a broken back from less than 2 years ago, and Dynamite doing superplexes off the top. Unbelievable here. Wow. As we go off to our final event center this week, Sean Mooney standing by with the likes of the Mecca of Manhood. It's a replay. We'll call it an encore presentation from Terry Taylor. We're also going to hear from the new Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior.
Welcome back to the WWF Event Center. It is always exciting to see newcomers here to the World Wrestling Federation. There are some great ones out there. The Blue Blazer, of course, the Powers of Pain, the Rockers, that exciting new tag team, and we have a new man I think you'll be very interested in meeting. He's standing by right now. His name is Terry Taylor.
Okay, let me tell you, everybody out there, I want to take this opportunity to introduce you to the greatest wrestler in the World Wrestling Federation. He's a new guy, he's one of my favorite people, and I think you're gonna like him a lot too. So I just want to bring him, no, there's nobody else. You gotta know it's me, the greatest wrestler in the World Wrestling Federation. It's just a matter of time before it comes true. Now, yes, I am Scary Terry Taylor, the Mecca of Manhood. Now, I've come into the World Wrestling Federation, and I'm sure I'm gonna have to prove myself. I just can't come out here and talk about it and expect everybody to fall down and let me beat them. So it's just going to be a matter of time, maybe a minute, 2 minutes for some of the top guys, and then I'm going to be the new sensation of the World Wrestling Federation. So get ready for it. And you know what makes it the best thing of all? Is there's nothing any of you can do about it.
I thought for a second there I may have introduced the wrong man. But you met him. He is Terry Taylor. Now there is another man here in the World Wrestling Federation. You've seen him before. He's the Ultimate Warrior. But he is now the new Intercontinental Champion.
Ah, you can feel it too. You can feel it. The same sweat that flows out of my body right now is the same sweat that flows out of yours. The same blood that flows through these veins is the same blood that flows out of yours. The same force that beat the Honky Tonk Man is the same force that I feel when I walk into the arenas. We are the champions. I wear the Intercontinental belt for you, the Warriors. Jump on my back, grab a body part, and hang on. Because if we have to swim across the Atlantic, if we have to go clear across all the continents of the world, we will survive. I promise. Yeah.
The new Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior. He captured the title at SummerSlam 88 from the former title holder, the Honky Tonk Man. Doing it all for all the little warriors out there. He is going to be some champion.
Well, we heard that promo last week. So nice, I had to play it twice. A lot of people loved it. I posted the video on social media, got a lot of great feedback, and it's very rare because Terry Taylor's soon going to be changing gimmicks here in the WWF, but there you hear it from, once again, the Mecca of Manhood, Scary Terry Taylor. Again, yes, a repeat, but it bared repeating, if you ask me anyway. We also hear from the new IC champ, Ultimate Warrior, who says, we are all warriors. We all share his blood. Yikes. Encouraging the little warriors out there to jump on his back, grab a body part, careful there, and he will swim us all across the Atlantic. Well, that kind of felt very Hulk Hogan Mania 4 by way of some of the comments made, but I guess if you're going to steal ideas, steal from the guy making the most money. Dude. As Wrestling Challenge comes to a close next week, oh man, what a lineup. Listen to this one. The Big Boss Man going to be here, as well as IC Champion Ultimate Warrior, and Ravishing Rick Rude also on the card, plus the likes of Ken Patera, $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, Dino Bravo is here, as well as, wow, here's a rarity, Sam Houston going to appear on Wrestling Challenge. Boy, you look at that lineup, Boss Man Warrior, Rick Rude, DiBiase, Sam Houston. One of those things is not like the other. Oh wait, Ken Patera. Okay, at this point, more than one of those things is not like the other. But that's going to conclude this week's episode of Wrestling Challenge, which means it's time to move on to Primetime Wrestling for September 20th, 1988.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Primetime Wrestling. I'm Vince McMahon, substituting for Gorilla Monsoon, who shall return next week. And, of course, joining us, as always, Bobby the Brain Heenan. And this week, Mr. Heenan, we shall take you to a matchup I'm sure you recall vividly. It's a matchup that involves Matilda. Matilda on the loose. As a matter of fact, Matilda, I'm sure you will recall, was involved in a matchup with the British Bulldogs as they took on the Fabulous Rougeau Brothers at SummerSlam.
That's correct. I was very proud of the way the Rougeaus conducted themselves in that match and out-wrestled the Bulldogs.
I see.
Now, Matilda's not going to be here, is she?
She might show up. We're just not
certain. You might be here with a dog by yourself. I'm not going to be around with that rabid, flea-infested, hydrophobic mongrel.
Hydrophobic?
Yes, as in froth.
Also to join us, by the way, will be the mighty Hercules, as Hercules squares off against the Junkyard Dog, another match I'm sure you recall.
The Fred Sanford of professional wrestling.
Oh, I don't know about that. Also to join us will be Bad News Brown. And Bad News Brown will lock up with Jumping Jim Brunzell.
You know how bad he is? Every time he's in Madison Square Garden, he walks from Harlem to the Garden and then back home. Try that.
It's only about a mile, isn't it? Something like that.
Longest mile you'll ever walk.
I don't know about that, but nonetheless, Bad News Brown will lock up momentarily with Jumping Jim Brunzell. What a matchup that shall be. We shall also have a special update involving Jake the Snake Roberts and Ravishing Rick Rude. All kinds of excitement here for you this week on Primetime Wrestling.
Is Mrs. Roberts going to be here, Jake's wife?
I think perhaps she might join us.
Oh, good.
Let's go to the matchup now. Bad News
Brown. There's a good chance we'll see some sailors.
Versus Jumping Jim Brunzell.
All right, here we go. Primetime Wrestling, September the 20th, hosted by Bobby the Brain Heenan and Vince McMahon. Gorilla Monsoon missing in action this week from Primetime. We talked about it a couple of grenades ago when we were covering the September news edition. Gorilla Monsoon's father passing away here in September, and he's taking a little time off here for the funeral. Gorilla will be back by the next episode of Primetime, but this week, Vince McMahon going to fill in. And this week on the desk, the desk filled with merchandise leading into the Christmas season. We see a toy Matilda, stuffed Matilda. Vince McMahon even barking for her, woof, woof, pal. As we learn this week's feature matchup, going to see the Fabulous Rougeaus versus the British Bulldogs from the SummerSlam pay-per-view. And if you guys remember that episode of The Grenade, you know that was a 20-minute classic, at least for the time frame. And to air it here on TV just a few weeks later, wow, I feel kind of ripped off if I had purchased that pay-per-view. They also talk about Bad News Brown being here on the show this week. Bobby Heenan saying that, did you know that Bad News walked from Harlem all the way to Madison Square Garden and then back? Well, it's only about a mile up the road, Bobby. Well, Bobby tells Vince that's the longest mile you'll ever walk. I don't know about that, pal. As we go off now to our next soundbite, coming out of the update featuring Jake Roberts stripping the tights off of one Ravishing Rick Rude. We're going to hear Bobby's take here, right here on the Primetime set.
In just a moment, we shall bring you to a special update involving the controversy between Ravishing Rick Rude and Jake the Snake Roberts, something that you should know a great deal about.
Oh, I know a lot about it. Only reason he has his old lady,
What do you mean he? He who?
Jake the Snake. Jake the Snake Roberts. He has his old lady at ringside.
His wife at ringside?
Yes. Princess Bimbo, as she's affectionately known.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Well, let's get someone else's comments now. We've had enough of yours on a special update between Jake the Snake Roberts and Ravishing Rick Rude. I don't understand. That's ridiculous on your part and ridiculous on Rude's part. Many times you have allowed Rude to wear the tights with the likeness of Cheryl on them in the past, but never at the same arena in which Jake the Snake Roberts was in. And he said if he were ever present in which Rude wore the tights with Cheryl's likeness on them, present in the same arena, he would yank them off, and that he did.
Well, I dare him to try that again.
Oh?
See, he snuck in from behind. And he came in from behind the man and blindsided him. Face to face, he'd never do that. He don't have it in here. He's not that kind of a man. If he was that kind of a man and had any character, any class, he wouldn't be married to that lowlife.
Married to Cheryl, you mean?
Call it the way you see it.
Well, the way we see it is that Cheryl Roberts is indeed a strikingly beautiful woman.
In a cheap, gaudy sort of way, I guess.
A lady with character, which is more than we can say many times for you, and certainly a lady in which Jake the Snake is very proud to be married to. And you and Rude, I believe in the weeks to come, will pay the price one way or another.
I doubt it.
And Bobby Heenan kind of referencing Jake and Rude here as he who, pal. Pronouns, pal. Of course, Vince McMahon letting it be known he's not a fan of pronouns here. In this case, he being Jake the Snake Roberts. Bobby Heenan having to correct himself. I bet he's loving Vince McMahon as the host here this week as they talk about Princess Bimbo, as Bobby calls her, Cheryl Roberts. Heenan daring Jake to do it again, come after Rick Rude, but this time face to face, why don't you? As Vince referring to Cheryl as a beautiful woman. Bobby Heenan agreeing, yeah, a beautiful woman in that cheap, gaudy sort of way, I guess. As we go on, up next, this is going to be fun. Coming out of a matchup, well, going in and coming out, got a few sound bites clipped together here, featuring Bobby Heenan's commentary about the mighty Hercules. Hercules going into battle here with the Junkyard Dog. Herc going to come out the winner. We're going to hear Vince McMahon kind of prod Bobby on his recent disappearing act, I guess you could say, in the corner of the Mighty One.
All right, back with more primetime wrestling, and in just a moment, we shall take you to the matchup involving the Junkyard Dog and the mighty Hercules.
I'll handle this one if you don't mind. Hercules happens to be a member of the Bobby Heenan family. He's probably one of the most prestigious members in the family. I mean, this is a man I go to for advice. This is a man when there's...
You what?
Discussions to be handled in the family. He helps with them. He's the backbone of the family. The Bobby Heenan family would not be what it is today without the mighty Hercules.
Oh, really?
That's right. He's wrestling the Junkyard. The man means everything to me. He's wrestling the Fred Sanford of wrestling. So, roll it.
Where were you?
Sitting here, right next to you.
I said, where were you?
Oh, that evening.
Where are you?
I was upstairs in the booth with my camera crew. See, I shoot from different angles. I'm not the kind of a manager that just stands in one spot at ringside and watches. Mm-hmm. I shoot from all different angles, then we review the films.
I see.
That's why I'm successful.
Is that the reason? We shall continue. More prime time in a moment.
You're worse than Monsoon.
Back with more primetime wrestling, and in just a moment we shall rejoin the matchup between the Junkyard Dog and the mighty Hercules. How many members of do you have in your film crew you allege to be filming this match?
11.
11?
Yes, I have audio man, I have different angles. Oh, wait a minute, I'm not telling you this. It's none of your business.
I don't understand what you said earlier on. A big smile on your face, perhaps justifiably so, but Bobby, I don't understand how you would say that Hercules is the backbone of the Heenan family. What do you mean by that?
Well,
I mean, I don't think one individual really means an awful lot to you, whether it's Andre the Giant or anyone else. I mean, as long as they continue to win, let's face it, they mean something to you. But at the slightest inclination...
Are you trying to imply I have no integrity? That they're just meat to me? Hercules was with me before ravishing Rick Rude.
In a word, yes. I'd
well, you're dead wrong, pal.
Really?
Hercules was with me before Rude, before Andre, before Haku, King Haku.
Yeah.
Been together a long time. He's just not another member of the family. He's the backbone of the family. Trying to imply like...
Are you close to him from a personal standpoint?
Very close.
In addition to a professional standpoint?
I handle a lot of his business ventures. I have a lot of things going for us.
Is he set
financially?
Yes.
Well, he's doing quite well. Let's put it that way. I don't like to discuss personal things like that. It's none of your business.
Okay.
Well, Bobby Heenan putting Hercules over like no other here, says the Heenan family wouldn't be where they are today without Hercules. He calls him the backbone of the Heenan family. He says, Hercules was there before Andre, before Haku, before Rick Rude. Hercules was there before everyone. He says Hercules means everything to the Brain, to which Vince questioning, well, where were you during that matchup, Hercules versus JYD? Supposedly, the Brain was there with 11 members of the film crew, taping the matchup from all sides. I wrote LOL, as they are starting to really build up Bobby's, we'll call it, relationship with Hercules. They begin to plant the seeds for things to come in the next few weeks here in the WWF. And up next, I've got to ask the question. When you hear the name Blue Blazer, what do you guys think of?
All right, back with more primetime wrestling. Bobby the Brain Heenan, when you hear the words Blue Blazer, what do you think of?
I think of a rusted out old 4-wheel drive truck or one of those cheap suits you get at the Blue Light Special. What do you think of?
I think of this next wrestler. We're about... What was that?
Monsoon is here.
No.
Banana peelings.
He's going to return next week. Right now, we're not going to Gorilla Monsoon, but we're going to Barry Horowitz, taking on the Blue Blazer.
Oh, the guy with the mask.
Yeah.
Does the aerial stuff.
That's him.
Wears a blue outfit.
That's him.
I've never seen him.
All right. Now, what do you think of when you hear the words Blue Blazer?
What I think of the Blue Blazer, well, obviously he's an athlete with a lot of athletic and aerial ability and gymnastic ability, but what's under the mask is what I want to know. Why does he hide his face?
What difference does it make?
Well, it's very important. There must be a reason. Has he been suspended places? Does everybody know who he is in an instant? Or can't he get matches? Or is he too ugly? There's a lot of reasons. You don't see me with a mask, do you?
No, but it might be interesting. Would you like to manage the Blazer?
I don't know. I have to see a little more of him. I'll make a decision later on. You'll be the first to know, believe me.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Your voice is still a little weasel-like. It's wheezing.
Oh, weasel-like? I'm not wheezing.
You don't smoke, do you?
Why, you smell something burning?
No.
Monsoon is here, isn't he?
Just checking. No, he is not. Let's take you to the World Wrestling Federation Event Center.
What a joint.
Well, Bobby does not let us down there, letting us know what he thinks of the name Blue Blazer. And after seeing the matchup, he has to ponder what's under the mask up. What is he hiding there? And then a fun little line there by Bobby Heenan to close out that segment. I don't know if you guys caught it, but they talk about smelling something burning in the studio. Bobby going to sneak in a "what a joint" line as we close out that segment. And then we come into one more soundbite here this week on the Grenade before we close up shop. Coming out of the British Bulldogs Rougeaus SummerSlam matchup, we're going to hear more from the Brain and Vince McMahon.
That's what I say, brother. Take it back to the locker room and finish it in the showers if you have to, brother. Oh. Wow.
All right, I have a question for you. You're supposed to be the Brain.
No, I am the Brain.
You are the Brain. You watched the same match that we all watched a few moments ago. How many times did superstar Billy Graham say the word brother?
Did you hear that, Betty? Give it to me. Got it? 97 times.
97 times in one match?
Just during the match.
Superstar said the word brother.
Right. 57 times he said gorilla.
How many times did he say the word man?
211. She just told me all those numbers like that. I am the Brain, aren't I, McMahon?
Yeah, you're the Brain, all right.
What else you want to know? Tell me. Let me get a question.
What sort of future do you think the Rougeaus have now they've hooked up with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart?
Well, I don't even have to pick the phone to do that.
No?
Look at Jimmy Hart guarded the Hart Foundation to the World Championship, the World Wrestling Federation. He's going to do it with the Rougeaus. I know, Jimmy.
All right, Bobby the Brain Heenan, of all the matches that we have seen tonight, what was your favorite match?
My favorite match?
Yes.
Was Hercules and the Junkyard Dog. I have to be loyal to members of my family.
And you are certainly loyal to Hercules.
Yes, I am. As I am to Andre the Giant, Ravishing Rick Rude. You tried to get me to say, mention some other names, didn't you?
Well,
I'm a little smarter than that.
Really?
Right.
What was your impression of the Blue Blazer?
The Blue Blazer, I thought it was a little baggy around the arm openings, but as soon as that pocket is sewn on with the crescent, it'll be nice. I like it double-breasted, though.
I see. And, of course, Bad News Brown continues his winning ways. We'll be following the career of Bad News Brown, as well as many others. And Jake the Snake Roberts and Ravishing Rick Rude, how's it going to wind up?
Well, eventually what's going to happen is Jake's going to realize he's not the man he thinks he is. Because when the missus starts knocking on the door of the Ravishing one, Jake's buried in that mat in defeat. What's left, pal?
Yeah, I don't know. Join us next week for more Primetime Wrestling. Gorilla Monsoon shall return. No, I will not.
You'll be here.
No.
Well, Vince even pointing out, and that can't be good when the owner's pointing it out. He's asking Bobby Heenan, how many times did the superstar say, brother? Not just at SummerSlam, but just in the Rougeaus Bulldogs match alone. Bobby's response, 97. And he said gorilla 57 times and man 211. And then we hear the outro there, Bobby Heenan picking JYD and Hercules, the match of the night here on Primetime. He says he has to be loyal to his family, loyal to Hercules. Vince McMahon promising Gorilla Monsoon back here next week on the Primetime set. And as we wrap up the soundbites, just a couple of exclusive matches here this week on Primetime, both taped back September 14th in Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville Gardens. That's Jarrett and Lawler territory there. Going to see Bad News Brown in a fun one over Jumping Jim Brunzell, delivering that Ghetto Blaster O'Doom. scoring the win in 6 minutes and 25 seconds. Actually, the opener there on Primetime. Go check it out. Really fun matchup. Also, the Rockers, Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty, defeating the team of Iron Mike Sharpe and Dangerous Danny Davis. No Jimmy Hart in his corner. Michaels going to score the pin on Sharpe with a flying crossbody and a nice little finish. That match going 7 minutes and 47 seconds. And as I pointed out, Davis slowly being morphed into enhancement talent here. No longer managed by Jimmy Hart. Also teaming with the likes of Mike Sharpe. Never a good sign. As that's going to conclude this week's Grenade Show, guys. Just a quick wrap up this week. Jimmy Hart now, the Rougeau Brothers surprise. Their brand new manager. Hey, they went with American, guys. You can't blame them there. Of course, the Angle. We also heard seeds planted as the $1 Million Man announcing that he is close to negotiating for a new possession. Another big storyline ahead. Also, we saw our final George the Animal Steele matchup. George having to retire from the ring due to health issues. Plus the Superstars debut of the Blue Blazer. Hacksaw Duggan and Dino Bravo exchanging words with one another. And we got to see both the Intercontinental Champion Ultimate Warrior and Tag Team Champions Demolition in action. What a week, and so much more to come. But next week's big draw, the feature presentation in my eyes, is going to see the debut of the African Dream, Akeem. Stay tuned to my social media for the video. Stay tuned to the Grenade next week for sound bites and my commentary on the transformation of the one-man gang into Akeem. Right here next week on the Grenade as we close out September of 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation. And all right, guys, that's going to close up shop here this week on the Grenade. Looking forward to doing it again right here next week, finishing out September. Moving into the month of October, things are really picking up, if you will, baby. To quote another dream. But right now, just encouraging everybody to stop over to WrestleCopia.com. Check out all the great podcasts there, from Gene Jackson's Retro Wrestling Review and Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert and Wildfire Tommy Rich, to my Wrestling Stoop Show with the legend himself, Bob Roop. Of course, all the great regional wrestling shows, new projects on the way for regional wrestling, all of that and so much more. Be on the lookout, WrestleCopia.com, and listen to the shows at all of your favorite podcast streaming platforms. And let's not forget to follow me on social media. Follow me on X at Wrestling Grenade, as well as Blue Sky now at Wrestling Grenade. You can also head over to Facebook.com. Follow me there at Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And of course, subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And last but certainly not least, encouraging everybody to stop over and join that $5 all access tier, or if you have the cash, the VIP Superfan tier over at Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. All sorts of great stuff over there. Great gifts for the prices we charge just in time for the holidays. You can now gift a Patreon account to your friends, your family, have them join in with you. Or if it's something you're not really into, but you know somebody that might be, now is a great time. You can head on over to Patreon and gift a WrestleCopia Patreon account to your friends and family. Very cool. And all right, guys, with all of that said and out of the way, time to say goodbye. We'll be back next week. More Wrestling Grenade right around the corner. Until then, this is Ray Russell saying from pillar to post and coast to coast, you pull the pin and I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. I'll see you next week. Don't miss it. Be there!
You know how bad he is? Every time he's in Madison Square Garden, he walks from Harlem to the Garden and then back home. Try that.
That's only about a mile, isn't it? Something like that.
Longest mile you'll ever walk.
All right, back with more Primetime Wrestling. Bobby the Brain Heenan, when you hear the words Blue Blazer, what do you think of?
I think of a rusted out old four-wheel drive truck, or one of those cheap suits you get at the Blue Light Special. Yes.
Your voice is still a little weasel-like. It's wheezing.
Oh, weasel-like? I'm not wheezing.
You don't smoke, do you?
Oh, why, you smell something burning?
No.
Monsoon is here, isn't he?
Just checking. No, he is not.
What a joint.
That's what I say, brother. Take it back to the locker room and finish it in the showers if you have to, brother.
All right, I have a question for you. You're supposed to be the brain.
No, I am the brain.
You are the brain. You watched the same match that we all watched a few moments ago. How many times did superstar Billy Graham say the word brother?
97 times.
97 times in one
Just
match?
during the match.
Superstar said the word brother.
Right. 57 times he said gorilla.
How many times did he say the word man?
211.